Hey, what's up, World Wrestling Live, man? We are here again. Thank you, everybody, for the support. And today we got a very special guest. He's the owner of Go Earn It Apparel. You'll see it up there, and it's a wrestling apparel. He's got a store. He's got everything. He started it in 2011. He and his brother. Great story. He'll tell us about it. But Go Earn It again. It's come from, where he started on the ground, and now you hear it in the likes of the big names. So congratulations on what you've grown, what you've done, and welcome, Brian Stout. How are you, buddy?
I'm good, man. I appreciate us having us on the show, Dan.
Yeah, man, it is super dope. I'm so glad you agreed to it. I appreciate the promo code for the fam, for everybody.
Absolutely.
So super cool, and I tried to throw that up just to kind of rep your brand for you today. Again, thanks for coming on. But first things first, the big elephant in the room is this COVID. I know you're up in the Midwest there. Has this affected your business at all? Have you had to adjust? Have you had to do things differently, or
yeah,
business as usual?
Yep. No, absolutely not business as usual. And it's tough. Our revenues are down significantly, but just like everybody else out there. And it's a crazy time. It's a fascinating time because this is something very unique in history that we're living through. So as a business owner, yeah, it's tough, but it's tough on everybody. So you just figure out a way to get through it. And the toughest part is just these kids. We talk to these customers of ours who are coaches all the time. And like I talked to a guy yesterday, and he's like, man, my kid is a sophomore in New Jersey and made it to the state tournament as a freshman. But he's just been going like all out since the season ended. And he's so excited about this next season because he thinks he could get on the podium, maybe even the top of the podium. And they may not have a season this year. So it's tough for us, but we'll get through it. The ones I really feel for are these kids who are working so hard to earn their dreams, and they need it to happen now.
Yeah, the ones that are definitely the ones that are seniors. I know my son is.
Oh man, yeah.
Yeah, my sons are 14 and 11, and I know my wife has been very, very strict. We're not allowed out of the house. Except last couple weekends, we went over to the tennis court. She was okay with that just because that's pretty socially distant, right?
Right.
And they're doing things right over there. But for the most part, they've been home. Now, she's very strict with them. But she did say, listen, if he was a junior going into his senior year, maybe she'd risk a little more, maybe as far as like privates or letting someone come to the house. But she's like, look, he's just finished 9th grade. He's got more time. I think I just want to be safe than sorry. So.
Yeah, and at the end of the day, too, there's always a positive in every situation. Like for so many of these athletes, the seniors, God, you feel for them. But like your son, this is probably just going to build their hunger and that intensity, that drive inside of them.
Yeah, and I was sitting up here this morning, and I hear them come upstairs. I have a little like bonus room over the garage, and that's where I kind of moved forward and set up the whole screen. Initially, if you look at old shows, I'm just sitting in a nook in my bedroom with rocks behind me, right?
I love it.
Now I got a green screen, and then my wife's like, all right, I'm over this. You're going upstairs. So now I'm upstairs doing the show. And but yeah, they come up today and they're drenched with sweat. And I'm like, damn, what are you guys doing? We're outside practicing. So it's good. So they're doing some stuff. They're lifting weights. They're exercising. They're keeping their minds right. I'm sure like any other kid, they get some anxiety or some depression about being home, and you just gotta keep them like, hey man, it's not that big of a deal. You're 14.
It's probably good for them too. I mean, nowadays people need to be stimulated every single second they're awake. So a little alone time with themselves to actually figure out who they are probably isn't bad.
Yeah, and it's awesome. Well, first things first, man. Who's Brian Stout? Did he wrestle? What what kind of background brought you to decide I'm going to make wrestling gear? I mean, I know we'll hear your story on why you started it, but you could have started any type of gear, but you decided it to be wrestling.
This is a very good question. And honestly, if you would have told me 10 years ago, 15 years ago, that I would own a clothing company in wrestling, I'd say you're nuts. And first I'll tell you about me as a wrestler, and it's not too impressive. So growing up, I have to be honest, football was my passion, and wrestling was just kind of that thing that I did. And, it was just, I liked the glory. I loved scoring the touchdowns, being on that football field, having the band play and the cheerleaders. And wrestling, you're cutting weight, you're walking out on that mat, you got that sick feeling in your stomach, you're going to battle, like it's just uncomfortable, it's tough. And I didn't love it growing up. But, it wasn't until later that I realized that most of the good qualities I have that weren't given to me from my parents or coaches came from being a wrestler. And it's funny, actually, my first job out of college, so I was a financial advisor and I interviewed with all these investment firms, and it was like around 9/11 and just people weren't hiring. So there were a couple of firms that offered me a job, but I didn't like them. There was one that I loved. I just thought it was a good, ethical company and the culture was awesome, just a place I wanted to be. So the guy says, "Hey kid, we're not hiring right now. We're in a recession. Go get some experience, with a discount broker, just a lower level in that industry." And he said, "Come back to me in a year or two. If I can see that you've had success, we'll look at you then." I'm like, "Nope, I'm working for you. I'll see you next week." And I wouldn't leave the guy alone. And I'm not joking. This branch manager, so we're out because I bugged him all the time. I was going to work there. And we're out one day and we're just talking, and he was a wrestler. And I was like, "Oh, I wrestled." And he's like, "Oh, how'd you do?" I'm like, "Not great, but I just told him about my wrestling career." And he goes, "Why didn't you just tell me at the first day that you were a wrestler? I would have hired you right there on the spot." And I'm not joking, just because he knew, what it takes to be a wrestler. And in that type of job, you have to be willing to do things that are uncomfortable. You got to go build your own book of business. So that's my background of being a wrestler, but it's real cool telling you how that got me to starting this company. So in 2004, I was a financial advisor in this small town in Illinois, and the athletic director of the school was talking to me, and she's like, "Hey, Brian, because I think it was the same county, and I think she'd seen me in the paper growing up, and she said, 'Hey, I know you used to wrestle. We need a wrestling coach here in Marengo.'" I'm like, "Oh, wrestling coach?" I'm not joking. I'm like, first of all, I think I was 26 or 27. I'm like, I'm too young to coach kids. I could still compete if I wanted to. This is what's going through my head. And second, I'm like, I don't even really love wrestling. Like, why would I do that? And then I stopped and I thought, you know what? I'm in this small town. It'll probably look great. Like, Brian's ingrained in the community, helping coach. I'm like, I'll do it. I'll do it for my business. And man, I'm not joking. Like, no exaggeration here. So I went up to that room, and I'd be surprised if it took a week for me to fall in love with the sport. When I was young, I just didn't get it. It was just tough. It was difficult. I didn't have the glory that I got in football. But now I'm up in this room as a coach with perspective, a little bit more. Not 30 yet, but looking at these kids battling, fighting, sweating, pushing themselves when their friends are playing video games on social media, out with their girlfriends. I'm just like, this is amazing. This is what this country was founded on, this go earn it attitude, this, just getting dirty, getting gritty, and just fighting and battling towards your goals. And so many people are afraid to do that nowadays. And in that wrestling room, you have to every day. So I fell in love with the sport immediately as a coach. And then I just love showing it as a coach of any sport. I'm sure you've got the opportunity to show kids that there's a very direct correlation between like what you're doing with your podcast. You're doing terrific, but with hard work and progress, eventually hard work and success. Once a kid understands that, which I don't think there's any better way to see that than in sports as a youth, man, you've got that just strength inside you to go do whatever you want in life beyond sports. So it's funny. So that was 2004. I started coaching. That's when I really developed my love for the sport. And I'll get off this question real quick, but it's funny. So I was out with one of my clients, and I was out to lunch with him. That was 2004. So it was probably like 2008, a few years into it, 3-4 years into it. And I saw something like on Facebook, I think it was. And I'm like, "Hey, Raj," his name is Roger. I said, "Hey, Raj, I just looked at this thing. If you could do anything in the world and money didn't matter, what would it be?" And, he thought about it and told me. He's like, "Hey, Brian, what would you do?" And I thought about it. I'm like, oh my God, I would coach high school wrestling, and I couldn't believe it. Like, that was the only thing in the world that I wanted to do. So it's just crazy. But yeah, if you would ask me right after high school, would I be a wrestling coach? Would I have a clothing company in wrestling? I say absolutely not. And that's why, as you grow and evolve as a person, you've got to just be open to what life gives you, because there might be so much more than what you see on the surface. So dig in a little bit. And it brought me one of my biggest passions outside of family in my life. So long answer to your question, but that's how we got to wrestling, at least.
No, it's awesome. Hey, Chuck Morris down at MF is like, yo, tell Brian I said what's up. He's a good man.
Hey, great to hear from you, Chuck. Thanks for viewing, man.
Yeah, one of my son's club coach and private coach, Donnie Simpson. Brian.
Oh yeah, I love Donnie.
Yeah, Brian is the man. GEI is the best gear company around, good quality and fast turnaround.
Oh yeah, he's been supporting us since day one. I love the guy.
Yeah, great guy. Me too. I wish I can get him over more because right now my wife won't allow anybody here. So
hey, we got the same thing in my house. I get it.
Yeah. So that's it. So man, you're sitting there one day and you get this awful fucking phone call, right? I mean, just an awful phone call, and you're like, shit. And you go through this process, which you'll tell about, and then next thing you know, you're Go Earn It. Tell us your story and how that got started. And obviously your brother is your partner now.
Right.
So yeah, but obviously the call was not good, but it turned out to be, thank God, a great thing for life and for what you guys are today, right?
Yeah, and I appreciate you asking, and it is a cool story. Again, if you would have asked me before January 10th of 2011, if I was ever going to start my own business, regardless of what the industry was, I'd say absolutely not. I had a fantastic career. I busted my butt earning the position I was at in this career. So, I mean, it's a type of career as a financial advisor where you have to build your business. You spend 5 years just doing everything you can to give people to give you a shot, and then to show them that you're trustworthy and you're going to do the best you can for them. And if you do that, and if you really work hard, you're in good shape as long as you keep doing that. So I was in great shape. I can honestly say in however many years I did that, 15, whatever, however many years I was in that, there was never one day that I didn't want to go to work. I enjoyed what I did. Even during 2008 and 2009 financial crisis, I wanted to get in there and help my clients, just talk to them because they needed it. So it's not like I was looking to start a business at all until, again, like life will throw you some crazy things, but it may turn out to be the most wonderful thing. So what happened was on January 10th, 2011, I had just left wrestling practice at the high school, and I get into my car, and, I remember everything about this perfectly. There's, we're in Northern Illinois, there's big snowfall coming down in the car, and I can see my brother called me. So I pick it up. I'm like, hey, Kev, what's going on? And there's no one there. So I'm like, all right, I'm getting ready to hang up the phone. And I hear like a whimper, like, a whimper is the best way to describe it. And it throws me off. We don't cry, I don't think I've ever heard my brother whimper as a man. So I'm thinking, did someone else call me from your phone? What's going on? So I go, Kevin, what's going on, man? You okay? And then I don't hear anything, and I'm about to hang up, and he goes, hey, Brian, he tries to say hello to me, but it sounds like he's crying. I freak out. My brother and I, there's nobody closer. We grew up together. We're only a year apart. And I think that relationship you have with a sibling is just so strong, because everything you went through your whole life, good, bad, weird, there's only one person or two, however many siblings you have, that went through all that with you. Like, there's no way you can be as close anyway. You may not get along, but as close with any human being. And, me and my brother are as close as can be. So when I'm freaking out, I go back to like being a kid, like, who's hurting my brother? I'll kill you. You feel that again. But also my brother has kids. So I'm like, Kevin, what's going on? Is it your kids? Is everything okay? Just talk to me. And he's like, Brian, he said, I'm heading to the hospital. They say I'm having a heart attack. Oh. And we've been very fortunate in our family that, up until that point, we haven't dealt with a lot of loss. And to lose, my best friend, like I was just freaking out. And Kevin, the best guy you've ever met. Like everybody loves him. He's just a good, salt of the earth type person. But had some bad habits. He smoked. He was 300 pounds overweight and just didn't take care of himself. But he was only 32, 33 years old back then. Never expected that to happen. So anyway, I get in my car and I race over to the hospital, and I'm just freaking out. Like, where's my brother? Where's my best friend? Is he alive? This cannot be happening. And for me, it was the biggest thing I'd ever experienced up until that moment. And I was losing it. And I walk in there and I'm probably a lot louder than I should be with the people at the hospital. And they got me to calm down. And they just said, "Sir, who's your brother?" And they're like, "Okay, you can go see him." I'm like, my brother's alive. I can go see him. So I walk in the room and he's scared shitless. Sorry, I didn't mean to use that word, but
hey, I curse.
Okay. All right.
But show the emotion.
Right.
Yeah.
He was beyond scared. I was beyond scared. Just his wife is in there and a few family members, and we're just looking at each other like, what's happening right now? And so what ends up happening though is they do the EKG, they do all the blood work, and then late that night, early the next morning, whatever it is, they come in there and they're like, "Hey, this is an indication of where you're headed. Your doctor was right to get you in here, but you're not having a heart attack right now. Go change your life." And it was the best news I've ever heard in my whole freaking life. So we all go home, and it's funny. So my brother with me, probably with you, not probably, I guarantee it. I see how hard you're hustling there. We're competitors. So you tell me I can't do something, or you goad me into something, even at 44 years old, a little kid can goad me into anything.
Yeah.
I like to be pushed. Kevin was the opposite of that. When I would say, "Hey, Kevin, why don't you get up and, let's start going for walks together. Why don't we try this fitness plan?" What he would always say to me is, "Brian, leave me alone. I'm happy." And it wasn't until later I found out he was embarrassed to even go to his kids' school functions, which my brother's the best guy in the world. He should never feel that. I didn't know that, but he wasn't happy. He just said that. He had this freaking shell that he lived in. So anyway, the reason I'm telling you that is my dad, after the news, who lives locally too, he's like, "We've got to get on your brother. He's got to change his life now. We're going to push him to start working out." And I'm like, "Dad, we do that to Kevin, he's leaving. He's going to break down, shut down. He's going to stress out because of us. He will have a heart attack." I said, "Let's just wait." So it was, I can't remember. I always try to remember, but it was like 2 weeks later. It's pretty soon after everything happened. And Kevin and I have a talk, and he's like, "Brian, I'm not going to have my kids wake up without a dad." And it was so cool to see this like resolve in my brother. Like he found a reason. And I was like, "Holy, what are you going to do? That's awesome. What are you going to do?" And he said, "I think I'm going to get, I think it was that gastric bypass or one of those surgeries to lose the weight." And, I didn't like that because I wanted him to make the change. And I actually knew somebody that had whatever type of surgery it was that ended up dying as a young man in his 40s because of complications. So I wanted my brother, he may not be competitive, but any job he's ever been in, whether he's working at a bank, working road construction, he quickly becomes the top worker. He's good and he'll give you everything he has. So I knew, and I just know him. He's like ridiculously just a strong person. I know what he's got inside. I'm like, "Man, Kevin, I know you better than anybody on the planet, and I know what you're capable of." And I don't know if it was these words, but the gist of it was, "Go earn it. Like, you got this. You do the work and go make this change. I can see how much it means to you now." And it wasn't that passionate, but that, I just wanted him to do this for him and his family, his future. And I didn't want to lose my best friend. So I didn't push it. It wasn't that passionate when I was talking to him, but, just, "You can do this, Kevin." And so we left that conversation, and I didn't think it was that profound. I thought he's probably going to go have the surgery. And again, I don't know how long it was after that talk, I get a text from my brother, and he says, I can't remember if it was like 3 minutes or 10 minutes or a mile, whatever it was, but he's like, "I just did, 10 minutes on the treadmill. I walked 10 minutes on the treadmill." And I was like, what? You went to a gym? You know, because he wouldn't even go into a gym. You know, he's embarrassed of how he looked and everything else. I'm like, this is amazing. Like, I never expected to hear my brother as an adult say something like that. I'm like, all right, progress. I said, you know, so what's next? And he's like, well, I got to do, you know, and it was very simple. So it wasn't like I'm going to try to lose all this within a day. He's like, this is what I've committed to. I will not have my kids wake up without a dad. So I don't know what it looks like, but I know I've got to start going this way. This is the path I was headed on. I know I've got to start going this way. So he started it was so slow. It seemed like it anyway, but the results were profound over, I think, a short amount of time. And he started just slowly working out. And then the eating plan doesn't matter. It's your commitment to an eating plan that matters. So he's like, what should we do for the eating plan? And it's like, well, grandma did good on Weight Watchers. Let's do that. Good. So I went to the meetings with him every week, and like, he just bought in. Like, all the excuses he had before, all the blame, this is who I am. This is my metabolism. This is who I'll always be. Like, those were walls. Like, this was a concrete house holding him in. There was no way for him to break through it. And all of a sudden, gone, because he made a decision. He had a reason. And so bottom line, that was, January, February timeframe when he started doing all this stuff of 2010. By November of 2010, there's a picture of him on our website of him running a half marathon. Like, he'd lost 120 pounds and he was jacked. I'd never seen, it's not like he was jacked before, got out of shape and got jacked again. At whatever age he was, 35 or 34 years old, he became a whole different man, you know, and he became the man he was born to be. He just finally tapped into it. So, like, this blew my mind, because I've always been goal driven, you know, with sports, with business, with anything I'm doing. And I've always believed that we're limitless. And if we'll commit to this vision and do the actions necessary to make that vision happen, like, there's not much people can't achieve. But the last person I ever expected to really validate that in my mind was my brother. I was just so inspired. So anyway, the way we started the business had nothing to do with wrestling, nothing to do with clothing. I was just at the gym one day, and I'm like, oh my God, I got it. And I come home and I tell my wife, and I'm freaking out. I'm like, you know, when Kevin made this change, the reason was so powerful. Like, it was always in front of him. So all of a sudden, the excuses, the old habits, his peer group, all the stuff didn't matter anymore, because he had this constant reminder internally that he was working towards a better life now. I'm like, so picture this, Nina, that's my wife's name. I'm like, you've got this wristband, you know, this is what the idea started with. I'm like, you've got this wristband, and on that wristband, we engrave, it's not digital, doesn't go away, it's permanent. We engrave your goal, not your company's goal, not your business's goal, your goal. And then on the other side of it, we put 3 words: go earn it, because no one's doing it for you. You've got all the power you need inside yourself to make this happen. So anyway, I'm all jacked about it. And the whole company started with these wristbands. We had no intention of anything else. I just wanted to help other people do what Kevin did.
Inspire people.
Right. That's it. We created this brand to inspire people to earn the incredible potential inside of them, to go be the person they dream of being. And so again, it had nothing to do with wrestling, clothing, or anything else. So we just started with the wristbands. And, you know, I was talking to you earlier, this is kind of what you're doing. If you put in a ton of effort and just listen to what people are saying, you're eventually going to find the right path. So we started with wristbands, and we just started going to like county fairs. We started going to like the Chicago Triathlon. I got this big booth that I spent way too much money on, and all this stuff. And some people got it, but most of the people are like, go earn it. What's that mean? You know, and so we started doing some clothes and stuff too. And after hearing that freaking question, what does that mean, so many times, I'm like, Kevin, I want to show you something. And I said, I know one group that lives by this mantra. And I said, they're the coolest people, just hardworking people who understand what go earn it means. I said, let me show you something. And because I'd been talking about wrestling the whole time since we started it, because I love the sport, but everyone said, don't do that. You know, you want to help people like your brother. You want to help everybody. I'm like, I listened to everyone else. So we went to this small Friday Night Lights tournament in Dixon, Illinois. And I'm not joking. It was like freaking 100 degrees out that night. And there's these little like gnats everywhere. It's just like getting all over you. The mats are like just all wet from perspiration. And it was a mess of a night. But in that night, we brought just our basic clothes. It didn't say wrestling, just like Go Earn It. Like my brother was downstairs back then in the basement screen printing with me yelling at him every day, telling him how bad it sucked and how he needed to get better. So we're out there with this basic stuff. We sold like 10 times more than we'd ever sold at these huge events. And wrestlers, they just came up there like, Go Earn It. That's awesome. And I'm like, yes, I know it is. You guys live this.
Yes, I know.
And from that point on, we just never looked back. And I got one more funny story about this. So we were just going to do the branded gear for Go Earn It clothing, just, all inspirational t-shirts basically and some other things. And then we're out at an event. I only laugh at this because my brother's response is so funny. But we're out in a tournament. So we've probably been a wrestling company now for a few months. That's it. But I knew a lot of people. So, I'm talking to people. And one of the guys comes up and he's like, hey, man, my kid loves your stuff. We bought stuff the last few tournaments we've seen yet. Do you guys make singlets, like team singlets? And I look at him like, yeah, of course we do. We're a wrestling company. And he's like, all right, cool. What do you need from me? And I didn't even know what to say. I'm like, just email me like some design stuff you're looking at. So he's like, all right, great. And he walks away. And my brother, he was so worried. I'm like, what are you worried about? He's like, we don't make singlets. I'm like, dude, it's material and stitching. There's factories out there. We'll figure it out. And it's funny. We got that first order made and it was good. It wasn't nearly as good as what we have now, but it was good. And it was stuff they could wear. And now that team apparel has become, oh, sorry.
That's okay.
Can you see me?
I can see
Okay. Yeah. Now that team apparel has become like, 75% of our business. So it's just funny how that all worked out.
That's awesome. That's all. And what a great story. And and I've been on your site and I've been looking at stuff and it's funny. And I think we talked yesterday a little bit. I got an email or something, I don't know, last year sometime, and it said $10 singlet or some crazy shit you were doing, right? And I'm like, okay, cool, that's kind of dope. My kid's doing these little AAU things. He's been seeing all the kids had like 5 different singlets. He's got one. He thought that'd be cool to have them. So I'm like, all right, fuck it, buy it, right? And then you had these cool socks. You were doing like dollar socks or some crazy shit, which is unbelievable. And I'm like, cool, do it, boom, dollar socks. And yesterday I was like, hey man, Go Earn It's doing a promo code for the show. It's super awesome. He's like, oh man, those are my favorite socks. You need to get me a new pair because those don't fit anymore. I'm like, all right, well, we'll do that. But then I go to call you to talk to you about the show and everything we're doing. And your number's in my phone. I'm like, numbers in my phone. We had talked like, I don't know, the year I bought it and I called you up and I'm like, man, I always like when I get treated well because I spent 20 years in sales. When I reach out to a company and they do what you ask and you get your stuff promptly and quickly and it's the quality that they say it is, I always pick up the phone and call them and be like, hey man, super cool, thank you, I received your stuff, it came promptly, it's awesome, great material. And I think I just reached out to say thank you and you were like, hey man, super dope, awesome, whatever, right? And then that was it, off I went, right? And I always kept up with your stuff and I'm always looking at it. And then I was like, man, I've talked to this guy before and it was super cool. We talked and it's just fun. I do love the concept and it's kind of in line and, why my purpose is here. And I've got my purpose on the thing and why I started it. But yeah, man, it's super awesome. And I got to tell you, I lost like 60, 70 pounds a few years back and I've gained them all back. And just reading your brother's story this morning and listening to you and my kids are on top of me, like, it really motivates me. Like, I really want to take the next step. And I think that's just hearing this story and being on here with you is really going to help me. And
it's awesome. You've done it before, you can do it again. And having those kids as inspiration, man. Yeah, go make that happen.
And seeing the logo and listening to this. And then like this morning, he's like, you hungry? I'm like, no, I'm not hungry. I don't want to eat. I need to lose weight, right? He's like, no, that's not the way to lose weight. Cause he's a 14-year-old wrestler. He's been taught. He's like, no, you can't starve. He's like, wait a second. Okay. I do starve myself like 2 days before a match, but other than that, you have to, you
Right.
know,
Yes.
whatever.
Wrestlers get a little
I'm
extreme.
like, well, look at you. You got a six pack, right? Like you don't have to worry about your stuff, right? He's like, no. I'm making you, I don't know, egg burritos or whatever the hell he's making me. So he scrambled up some eggs, put some ham in it, put it on these little like.
Your kid's doing that for you?
Yeah, like these wraps.
That's
and
awesome,
like,
man.
He's like, you're gonna eat this and you're gonna like it. And here's a little lemonade. And I'm like, yes, sir. So
how cool is that? And you've created him to be an inspiration to you now. I love it.
Yeah, it's pretty awesome. And then I don't know. I feel like life and God puts people with each other or in each other's lives for a reason. So just to get you to say yes to go on, and then we talked for God an hour yesterday, and then to this morning, the first thing I did was wake up and like, man, I got to go read his story because I got him coming on, and there's got to be a story there. So let me go find it, right? And I go find that story of why you did like a blog or something back whenever, and just talked about your dad. And I threw the link up, and next thing I know, people are messaging me like, are you partnering with Go Earn It now? I go, well, I'm trying to create a referral network, but Go Earn It is coming on, and yeah, we're gonna do some stuff together, but it's just to help you guys out in my community. And yeah, it's not about me. Yeah, sure, if you buy something, he may send me a carrot or whatever, but it's not about that. It's about more, I just want to create a network where people who watch this can say, man, if I need something, I can go there and they'll help me out, and I just feel like that's a company, you're a company that kind of on the same line as what.
That's all. I got to ask you real quick. You said you threw one of my blog posts up there about my dad. Was it the one? What?
The one about your brother.
Oh, I thought you said you saw one about my dad because I created this blog and put a cool story. All right. I was going to ask you which one it was.
Yeah, no, it was the one that you talked about, what you just talked about. You were like, man, I get this call and I'm like, holy shit. And
okay.
Went to my mind and I'm like, man, where does it happen? And that just kind of inspired you and your brother to kind of take the next step in life. And
that's the thing too. Like, again, I would have never gotten into coaching unless I said yes to, an opportunity that presented itself. Didn't even seem like an opportunity to me. And now what we've got here, I get to work with my brother every day, and we've got the coolest customers, on the planet. Like, that's what we get to do. It's because we just, we at least looked at the opportunity, and that's what I used to tell my kids, just more about life, not than wrestling. But guys, just be open to what life brings to you, because there may be a path for you that's freaking amazing that you would never walk down alone. I'm sorry. Yeah, I don't know why my battery power is getting low there.
Yeah, they did. It happens all the time. Don't worry.
All right. Yeah, it said I got 10%. So.
All right. So let's move. First of all, last question before we get into our 10 questions. All right. So I'm a coach out there, or I'm a clinician, or I've got a club or whatever. How do I get in touch with Brian and Go Earn It? How do I create a team store? What's the process?
So real simply, just email us. Brian@goearnit.com is perfect. I'll respond to you and get you set up with whatever you need, for social media, or, at Go Earn It, or I think it's Go Earn It Apparel or Go Earn It for Facebook. I'm not sure. But the best way to get in touch with us is at that email. You can go to goearnit.com. We've got an online catalog, just kind of show you everything we do there. And I appreciate you asking that.
Yeah, no problem. If money's the same, why do I choose Go Earn It?
It's only words until you've worked with us, but our service is unparalleled. Same thing was that when I was a financial advisor, and I think I told you this before, people used to always ask me how I got so many referrals back in that business. I'm like, guys, you know what I did? I just talked to my clients, back then. And here,
yeah.
You know what we do? We love our customers. So that's it. Our goal is to work with you for the next 20, 30 years. We're not, most businesses, you feel like you're sitting on opposite ends of the table. They're thinking about money. You're just hoping to get a good deal. We're with you. We're going to give you the best deal we can. We're going to help you create something your kids feel proud to wear. Like, that's it.
That's awesome. That's awesome. Hey, so well said, man. Awesome. Damn, I'm just totally stoked to have you on. It's just an absolute honor.
Hey, we appreciate being here.
And I tell my sister-in-law all the time, I've been wearing her St. Pete Brewing hat, repping her St. Pete Brewing Company. But
we got to get some Go Earn It hats over there.
Yeah, I got to put a Go Earn It hat on now.
We'll get you hooked up.
Let's see. Okay, great, man. I was on your website. Awesome website. Great platform. You can see all the different things you've got. But I was on there and I was like, man, you know, I don't have much money, but I need some t-shirts and shorts. But I wasn't sure what I wanted to go with first. Was it $5 t-shirts or $5 shorts?
Go with the t-shirts. Everything we do, like the t-shirts are our favorite part because we build those things to inspire you. You know, so whether it's something that says bring the battle, refuse to be denied, whatever it takes, or if it's those 3 words, go earn it. Like when you put that on, we just want you, you know, it feels like you're putting on a superhero costume. You know, you've got you're starting your day with a purpose. So always do a t-shirt.
That's awesome. Yeah. And now, you know, something for everybody, you know, the young kids out there, they want a certain hat. The old men out there, they want a certain hat. And I was on there and I was like, man, snapback or truckers? I'm like, I like the truckers. We used to bend them up, but the whole new thing now is snapback.
Do the trucker.
Do the trucker. All right, I'm going.
Do the trucker. You know, I'm 44. We're the same age. We look goofy in that flat bill. So do the trucker.
Yeah. And then I was like, man, I don't know if you know, I need some more singlets or compression shirts. You know, I'm wrestling off season. I'm going to some tournaments, or even I'm a team and I need to get some stuff for my kids. Do I go singlets or compression shirts?
I'm traditional. I love the singlets. We'll come up with an awesome design for you in either one, but I'm doing the singlet.
All right. You know, I want to kind of provide headgear for my team instead of making them go buy their own. You know, I know you offer team headgear or you offer like that super dope Patriot headgear.
That's tough. That Patriot headgear is just a crazy seller. So, but we have the best design team on the planet. Get the custom.
All right. I like it. And then if you don't know, they got women's gear. Do I go the women's leggings, feel comfortable, get out there, or do I go with the motivational women's tees?
Oh, sorry. Hold on 1 sec. Can you hear me?
Yeah, I can hear you. We're down to 8.
Okay. Yeah. Always do the t-shirts. The leggings are great. We get great comments on them. But again, our mission at the end of the day is for anybody who wears our clothing. We want to inspire you to take your life to that next level. So get the t-shirt.
Now I hear women online. I see social media. They've been asking for like those cost effective kind of compression shorts that they wear now when they're wrestling.
Oh yeah, we do those.
Okay, I didn't see them on the site, so I just want to make sure that.
Yeah. Okay. Thanks for asking. Yep, we do all of that stuff.
Awesome. Okay, man, I need a new gear pack. Do I go with the blue one or that black one? Man, they're kind of dope. Got gear
Get
packs.
both. They are sweet. I have both colors. I kind of switch it out during the week. Get both.
Nice. Oh, I did see where you do like either, you know, women's outerwear or even women's singlets. So you do for the girls teams as well.
Oh yeah. Yeah. And again, I'm a traditionalist. So I say do the singlets and they're real nice. They come up higher on the neck, higher on the arms. And we've gotten great comments on those.
And for the outerwear, men and women's, they got the hoodies, man. They look dope. They also got the hats, the wool hats, the ski hats, whatever you call them nowadays. I don't know what the kids call them now, but
that sounds right.
Yeah. Hey, I want to look really, really super cool nowadays. You know, I'm walking into the gym. I'm a wrestler. Do I throw on them funky leg and arm sleeves, or now do I put on that really cool Go Earn It mask?
The face mask?
Yeah.
You got to do the face mask now. They won't even let you in the gym without it. So do the mask, bring the sleeves though, just so you finish the ensemble and look perfect.
Nice. And if I want those face masks to say what I want it to say and not what you want to say, can that?
Yeah, we do custom. That's been big right now, as you can imagine. Custom face masks. We're doing a ton of those right now. And it's funny, now some of these coaches are saying I also need them for my business and other things too. But yep, we do those for sure.
Awesome. All right.
I don't know how to check how much battery time. I just don't want to cut out on you.
Nope. I got 2 more. You ready?
Yep, I'm ready.
I was looking, you kind of got some really cool accessories. And I wasn't sure if headbands are still in, but I do know pop sockets are in. So do I go like them?
Headband all day. It's funny. One of my buddies, Shane Sparks, he's doing a ton of bike riding right now. He's got a race that he's working towards, and he's always sending me pictures of that headband. He's like, man, I put this thing on. I look in the mirror and I'm ready to crush it. So do the headband.
I love it. And then, man, some other cool stuff. You got some super dope socks. You can do regular socks, stock socks, team socks, whatever socks. And then you got some cool baby onesies.
The onesie. That's the coolest thing we've ever come out with. Yeah. Take my bottle and I will take you down. That's the onesie. That thing's awesome. Get the onesie.
I love it, man. Hey, this has been just an absolute honor to be on with you. And of course, you know, I don't have this written down, but we gotta know, do we go, like, if we're going to like Chicago, do we go with the dog or the beef?
No, you go with the pizza.
The pizza.
Always go with the pizza.
All right. Is your brother in the back room crying right now because your story you just told? Is he back there like whimpering? Like,
oh yeah, he cries like a baby. I can't let him fun him. Yeah, he's a little baby. He's my little brother, so he's a little baby.
Yeah, that's awesome. Well, you know, my saying, and I always tell people this, and it's perfect for this show and this brand, but I always say, keep kicking ass in life, my friend. So,
you too, man. You're doing it. Yeah, it's been great meeting you, and we really do appreciate the opportunity. I look forward to talking to you more, Dan.
Yeah, for sure. We'll talk all the time. Keep kicking life's ass and go earn it, and do your thing, man. And
yeah, baby, go earn it.
I'm so happy your brother's kicking and out there with you, and I look forward to doing more business with you. Thank you so much.
Love it. Thanks, Dan.
Yes, sir. You have a great one.